Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt
And
Roast.
I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for the Traitors US Season 4, Episode 9.
hmm
Let's just start this off with a very big declaration. I no longer have any faith in these faithful and their ability to figure out that Rob Roush is a traitor. I just don't see it with them at all.
No, Rob is winning this season. It feels very apparent. I mean, we even had this interview with Alan recently where he was just like, yeah, Rob's the best trader we've ever had. And while this interview, Alan also didn't remember Daniel Reyes' name, and it was just last season. So I'm kind of like, how invested are you
Yeah.
in this? The fact that he's saying that felt like he was giving away that Rob was going to win, which I don't think is much of a giveaway considering how Rob is playing this season, which is beautiful.
Just like I am out on these faithful, I'm also out on Alan's takes regarding his own show after he said Danielle was the worst traitor of all.
Also, the best trader of all
Yes.
is Sari. Like, Rob is great, but Sari's game.
I don't understand that. I'm very appreciative that Rob's on this season.
Yep.
I do think he's doing a great job. He's
Yes.
going into the final metaphorical quarter of this season with a huge leg. I mean, a huge lead. The only real question I have is, all right, Rob, can you make it through the rest of this without sabotaging your game, without getting too arrogant at any given point? Because he's done a great job of just sort of being on the level throughout the entire season, never too high or too low. But we all know sometimes when you're getting a little too close to the finish line, you see it, you have a big lead, maybe you start dancing as you get a little bit closer, and you can trip up over your own feet. Like, that's a thing.
It is a thing, but this is going to be really hard for him to mess this up. Nobody is looking at him. We even have people looking at Eric, and I know that Eric has been brought in as a traitor, but Eric just doesn't feel like he's doing anything different than he's been doing. Kristen, I'll be like, you're so quiet. You're not saying enough. Yo, he's been doing that the whole season. This isn't new.
Okay, this entire episode is just a pure comedy of errors. Watching a lot of people who have somehow made it this far into the game play not that great, other than Rob, who's just not even running circles. He's just walking circles around everyone. He doesn't even need to run, but
No.
we have a lot more to say here. But before we get into it, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We will be here through the remainder of the Traitors US and then leading into the start of Survivor 50, which is just weeks away. We have known about the cast for this for months and months. It is the longest build up to any season of Survivor I can ever remember.
Let's go Team Guyana. Also, we have Big Brother this summer. We have Survivor 51 this fall. We are going to be here for all of that great stuff. So hit that subscribe button and stick with us. And also, if you want to help support us further, what we do here at the channel, being able to continue to bring you guys lots of videos, please consider joining our memberships here on YouTube. It really helps us out. We have exclusive content over there that is not available here on YouTube for everybody. Right now, we are currently covering Hijack Season 2, which is airing on Apple TV.
Yeah.
But we also have Season 1 of The Pit there. We have Dune Prophecies there. We have Slow Horses there. We have all kinds of other shows there. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined.
Thank you guys. We very, very much appreciate that. Let's begin by saying, I don't know, 20 seconds on Dorinda, who is the first person sent out. I don't think she needs more than 20 seconds.
Bye. Please don't bring her back any more times. I know there's rumors out there of an all-star season, even though the producers are like, we haven't even done season 5 yet. We haven't even finished season 4 yet. Like, we'll get there, but we're still a baby show at this point. And please don't bring Dorinda back. Like, she went like first out in the first season, and then she's like gone far in this season and has brought nothing to the show.
Nothing. Like, as upset and devastated as I was to lose Candace, I was equally happy to see Dorinda go. She is the most overhyped contestant in the history of this show.
Oh man, if you were having an all-star season and you do not bring Candace back, I'm gonna be so mad.
Listen, if we're having Real Housewives on the All-Star, I need Candace, I need Phaedra. You put them in the same room. Let us have fun. Dorinda, not fun, not good TV.
No.
Good on you, Rob. And then Eric, who, big surprise, everyone, has taken him up on the offer to be a traitor.
Okay, it's really tough. I mean, Matt and I have spent a lot of time talking about this.
Yeah.
how can we make this different where there's actually some sort of stakes in the game of like, is Eric gonna take it? And nobody's gonna be like, you know what, I'd rather quit. That's not a thing that's ever gonna happen, which is why they've set it up this way to ensure that there are still more people out there. But maybe offer whoever's gonna flip a cash prize. You get this if you decide that you're going to be a traitor, and offer it to 3 people. And the first person that takes it, that's the person that's it. Not everyone's just going to say no.
Yeah, there needs to be a change up with this. I think finances is a good way to do that. I
They're
mean,
all there for money.
since we've already fired off some takes in this video, like here's another one. The prize money on the Traitors compared to other reality shows is really not that great. And
It's little.
it's a really excellent segue into this challenge that we see that I have to imagine the producers are not thrilled with, just because after what Rob and Eric do in this challenge, I don't know if you can bring this back for another season. They kind of realize, yeah, we're losing a little bit of money for a show that already doesn't give us a lot of money. The real prize on the Traitors is all, I don't know, the brand deals you get after the fact, the Instagram followers. It's just they figured something out here.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about it, right? We've had this before on the show where it's like, oh, tell us who you think is this or that, with
Yeah.
like the big chess game and all of those other things. But the way that Rob came together, where Eric was like, I don't know what to do. And Rob's like, don't worry, I have you. We're going to put down Tara for everything, because it's better that we lose the money and don't give them any sniff of who we are, because it always does kind of give something away. But if they're just like, we'll just do Tara, 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 then they're going to be like, okay, what's really going on here? The Traitors are wasting our time, wasting our money. We're not getting anything. And that is how it played out. It was so smart.
It was so smart. It was so smart to the point that I don't know if I want to see this challenge again now, because I feel like any other iteration of it is just frankly going to be boring. I also have a question for Eric, and maybe this is why Rob picked Eric in the first place to be this traitor. If someone comes to me after I've been newly appointed to this role after seeing multiple other traitors be sent out in part because of Rob, I would be thinking of how diabolical this person is that he's thinking this hard about a pretty useless challenge in the grand scheme of things. I would be so worried to be like, this guy's going to cut me. I just need to get rid of him right now in any way that I can.
Absolutely. I would be worried going in, but I think because Rob's social game is so good and he has spent a good amount of time talking to Eric and really getting close with him as a faithful, I think that he's really going to be all in for the reasons that Eric said, where he was just like, I don't really have a choice. Well, what choice do I have? I'm in and I trust him, or I don't trust him and, I get cut anyways. What can I really do in this situation? I think
Yeah.
Eric just wasn't really prepared to be a traitor this season. And now that he's in this position, I think he will just go along with what Rob wants and what Rob says, which is totally fine with Rob. And I was very curious if he was going to cut him or not, because I've got my hard hat on.
All
I
right.
actually don't think that he was going to cut Candace until Candace came for him. I think that if Candace had just voted for Lisa, he would have continued to ride with Candace. There was no like sniff of him getting ready to get rid of her. So I feel like him in the confessional back then, when he was just like, why is she putting my name out? I was never going after her, but now I am. Him in the confessional now as well, he's like, I'm not planning on getting rid of Eric. He's only talking to us,
Yeah.
right? He doesn't have any reason to lie to us. So if he's saying, I have no reason to get rid of Eric, I am going to ride to the end with Eric, I believe that he is going to ride to the end with Eric.
Rob is just a different sort of dude. And I mean that in a respectful way, but this is somebody who was on Love Island. I didn't watch that season, but from what I have sort of heard since that season ended, he could have done a lot more to sort of progress his fame immediately after that season. And he didn't really seem that into doing all of it. Like, he seems to kind of go and do whatever he wants. And kind of with that in mind, I could see what you're saying turning out to be true here, where, yeah, you want to be the sole winner. You want to be the glorious champion that's praised for being this great trader. Rob can still have that if he wins with Eric. Yeah, sure,
Yes.
he'd have maybe a little bit less money, but I still feel like everyone would come out of this being like, Rob's really the winner. Eric is a winner, but there's a difference between a winner and then the winner, right?
Yeah, I don't think that in this show that if you go there and you have to go by yourself and you have to cut out all the other traitors. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. You do need allies as a traitor a lot of the times to be able to get to the end. So why not just share the prize money?
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money.
And it's also just more insulation potentially for Rob a little bit later down the road in the
Yes.
event that he absolutely does end up needing this. But yeah, it was a really interesting strategy with Tara. It's probably Alan felt very silly up there having to announce things as this challenge went along, and it was so
Yeah.
obvious what the answer was going to be every single time.
Yeah, I was wondering if people really were going to hear sort of the creaking and what was going on. They played it up in the editing,
Yeah.
but obviously it didn't matter at all with any of that stuff. I mean, I am excited to see what Eric is going to do or not going to do. I have liked him since the beginning of the season. I know not everybody online's the biggest Eric fan, that they're kind of like, oh, the bros are taking over the season.
Yeah.
I don't care who takes over the season. You hang out with who you vibe with. It doesn't matter to me. It is all fine. I just think Eric comes across as just kind of a nice, decent guy. So watching someone like that be in this spot where he really didn't want to be a traitor, he's stuck being a traitor. He's even whispering the word traitor like it's Lord Voldemort. Be like, traitor. Even in his own confessionals by himself is just so cute.
The other part of everything with Robin, you touched on this a little bit earlier, is just how good his social game is, because it is so easy for all of us out here to be like, all these other players are dum-dums. They're not seeing the truth that's right in front of them, that Eric is out of his mind forever trusting Rob, but he has spent this time cultivating all these different relationships,
Yes.
even with somebody like Ron, who we talked about for many weeks, who was always the target. He still spent time with Ron. So he clearly has built up these relationships to the point where I don't think we can sit here now and say, oh, these faithful are just bad. He's benefiting from these people just being completely oblivious. I think he's benefiting from, yeah, sure, the perception of Love Islanders as compared to survivors, but I think he's also just benefiting from the work that he himself has put into this game.
I think that there's a lot that Rob is benefiting from. One, yeah, his background is, oh, he's just a Love Island guy. So
Yeah.
maybe he's not a strategist, or, he's on a show that's known for being like super fun, trashy TV.
Yeah.
I love Love Island. I haven't seen Rob's season, but I really enjoy that show for that reason. So you hear he's from Love Island, he's a good looking guy from the show. You just kind of like push that off. But he also has going for him that he has put in a lot of work, really good social work, just like Sari did, to really build those relationships where people just truly trusted her. And the same thing is happening here. It really feels like the way that you win traders and really win traders is to befriend the faithfuls the best that you can, that you're not always just strategy, let's figure this out, but that you're really like, hey, tell me about your family. Let's get to know you. Let's get a bit deeper here.
Building organic relationships, keyword here being organic, is so important to this show, so that everyone can sort of chart your journey over the course of it. And this brings us to what has become a weekly segment in these trader videos titled Why Johnny Weir Makes Me Mad. And this week,
Oh, Johnny.
okay, so he is starting to realize that he is becoming a target in the wake
Yes.
of this challenge. And so he has discovered the real key to his future here is to just admit to everyone that he and Tara Lipinski are best friends, despite the fact that they have very publicly worked together for like a solid decade. And I was shocked to even see Mark Ballas, my beloved messy king, in the confessional being like, I didn't know they were so close. I'm just like, Johnny, why are you admitting to these people that you've been keeping something from them the majority of the game? And what universe does this make you trustworthy?
Yeah, the thing about Johnny and Tara is they really just needed to go in and be honest about it and just say, hey, we do know each other outside this house, just like a lot of these housewives are all friends and they know each other. A lot of the Big Brother people and Survivor people, I mean, we've been to a bunch of different events.
Yeah.
They all hang out. So
Yes.
that's the thing about it, right? I mean, Rob has a podcast. He's talked to everybody. He has relationships throughout all kinds of different shows for like well over a decade.
Yes.
There's no reason that they had to hide that relationship, honestly. So the fact that they did just made it way harder on them because they didn't have each other to lean on instead of just having each other to lean on
Yes.
and sharing those stories with everybody and building trust that way.
You can't have this both ways. Either just be honest the
No.
entire season or just lie the entire season. The only person alive who can just
Yeah.
lie half the way through a season is Tony from Survivor, who will just make 500 different lies to cover up his one lie. It just made no sense. I'm shocked
No.
that both of them are still here,
Yeah, I
honestly.
am as well. I just feel like if you're just going to come clean with this, and it feels like a very random lie because it isn't like they're the only two people on this season that know each other and everybody else doesn't. And oh my God, they're going to have an advantage because there isn't five housewives this season. Like, it's very weird that they decided to hide it, but it's more weird that they decided to then disclose it because they look like liars for no reason. If you're going to lie about something so small, then you are going to
Yes.
lie about something so big.
And the other part of this now that is just so completely baffling is them basically admitting to everybody else at the round table, oh, yeah, by the way, we trust each other implicitly. We are each other's best friends. We're going to constantly believe everything the other person says. That is a direct signal. We are two votes. We are not one vote. We are
Right.
just the embodiment of this dagger advantage, except we are two actual people. If you know this, traitor or not, that's like a really big impediment to the end of the game that they're constantly going to be voting together. And that could really throw a curveball into your own plans.
1000%. You don't want to know that two people are always going to be voting with each other. And also, if one of them is a traitor and the other is just protecting each other over and over and over again, then chances are you're probably bringing a traitor to the end.
All of this, their terrible strategy, the weird disclosure of their secret.
The other weird disclosure of the dagger, like, why is this coming around? I know now is like, listen, I'm the only one that's being talked about here. Let's talk about the dagger. Just admit that you have it. She's getting really paranoid for not really a reason at this point.
And Rob is just being so nonchalant with everything. I kind of feel like Rob could, at this point at a round table, just look at them and be like, I'm a traitor, y'all. And then they would just be like, okay, cool. We're just going to take you to the end anyway.
The fact that Rob is the person who has the dagger, he has said it at the table that he is the person that has it. Yes, he tried to lay the groundwork out to be like, hey, all six of us were the dagger six. We're not going to be telling anybody who has it. And that went around the whole mansion. Everybody knows that they were going to keep it a secret. At that same time, though, that would make me look at Rob to be like, he's really good at keeping secrets.
Yeah, there's just something about him. Like we talked about Dan's mist on Big Brother so many seasons ago. Like
Yes.
there is a mist that Rob has where he can get away with all these things that other people can't get away with. But the thing that's still driving me so off the wall here is that despite everything bad that Johnny and Tara do, Steven ends up getting banished mostly just because he walks into a room and acts weird. I'm just sitting back and I'm so awkward, especially in large groups. I wouldn't know what to say either if I'm walking into a big group.
Listen, Steven should have gone a long time ago for so many weird traitor behaviors that he was doing, telling everybody not to take the shield. That's super weird traitor behavior. Him being in a room with Candace and then Candace turns out to be a traitor and she's just like, hey, can you give me a minute? That's super weird. Him, all that whole thing with Lisa putting all her coins in his box, also super weird. Some of it's out of his control, but some of it was in his control. It just wasn't right. There's some weird things that have been happening with him.
And ironically, the thing that sends him out is the thing that I have the most sympathy for versus everything else you just listed, which is actual evidence. I mean, Steven seems like a nice enough guy.
He does.
He's not great TV.
No.
He was kind of just there.
Yeah.
I enjoyed him leaving though, as he told everyone they blew it. Like I did find that to be. This is the way you exit this show, not jam, just like publicly declaring things that could alter the future of the game. Just
Oh, I know.
insult everybody. It's more entertaining.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit here about Kristen, who is now coming into thinking that it's possibly Eric, because
Yeah.
it really kind of boggled my mind. I don't know if it was the edit. I don't know if she's just like, man, we're getting it wrong all the time. We have to look at other people. All of that is fine. But the way that she was laying it out, just kind of be like, oh man, you're too quiet. There's something weird about that. He's been quiet this whole time. He's been consistent the whole time. Nothing has changed with him. So why now that he's quiet, it's a problem? Rob's also quiet. Tara has been basically a ghost all season until this episode.
It's a really hard thing to parse and figure out because there is this part of me that wants to sit here and be like, okay, maybe Kristen's upset because Eric was a little bit wishy washy when he casted his vote. But at the same time, he's been a little bit wishy washy for a lot of this season. You'd say the word
Yes.
consistency, that lines up. And also, after his whole golden ear nonsense earlier this season, I feel like I would personally be a little bit more tentative as well. Also, Kristen, if you're gonna kind of go after somebody for weird behavior, you voting for Tara at the round table, knowing full well she wasn't gonna be one of the people banished. I know you had an argument for it. It still kind of makes you stand out a little bit.
Yeah, it's odd to question his vote, but then your vote is okay when you know that it's basically a throwaway vote. You didn't have the votes. You knew you didn't have the
Yeah.
votes, but you did it anyways. How does that not stand? The whole thing is just felt like she was throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping something was going to stick. Nothing really was, and that's where we are. But it did make me a bit nervous because Rob was there too. I was like, uh-oh, is Rob now going to cut him? But I don't think so. My tinfoil hat is that I think Rob is going to be able to just smooth this out. And it's just like, you know what? I feel like we're going to be able to kind of get through this.
Yeah, like where I'm sort of thinking of things tinfoil pies myself is that Kristen's just in her head playing process of elimination, and maybe the show doesn't want to show that strategy because they don't think it's that entertaining. Where Kristen just
Yeah.
feels there's probably a male traitor. Rob's my guy, Mark's my guy. It can't be one of those two. Steven just left. Options are running low. Oh, it must be Eric. But I think a part of the brilliance of Rob's game is that he ultimately flips to get rid of Steven because he knows that Johnny is going to be a target again
Mhm.
moving forward. So there's no real reason to get Johnny out of the game right now. That's insulation.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to want Eric gone anytime soon. But once again, insulation for him if it ever comes to that and Kristen is still around. He can still go before Robin's up going.
Here's the thing, though, is that Kristen did say, if I'm murdered, it's Eric, sort of thing. And Rob didn't share that with Eric. I was actually kind of surprised that he didn't share it at the turret because then he followed up not sharing that information with, we're going to find a way to get out of this. Like, if we decide that we're going to end up killing Kristen, then it is what it is, sort of thing. And I think Rob's like, at that point, we'll either smooth it out or we won't, and it'll be what it's going to be. Or we can just keep her in the game and you and I can smooth that out with her because the real is nobody's listening to Kristen. That's why
Yeah.
Kristen is putting out votes by herself.
It's so weird watching this show, knowing how much I love Kristen on Top Chef,
Yeah.
but now watching this and being like, Kristen, what are you doing? I love you, but your game is just all over the place at this point. But we do have the end of this episode, which you touched on. Kristen's one person who
Yep.
could be taken out. And then we have Johnny and Tara and Natalie. I'm just going to say this 100% you get rid of Natalie in
It's
this.
Natalie.
It has to be. She is the only real gamer left. She's a very aggressive player. And also, you got to keep Johnny and Tara because they're just such big targets and they're going to keep tripping over themselves at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. I would just get rid of Natalie, which hurts me to say
Yeah.
because I really like Natalie a lot and I don't want her to go.
Yeah.
But you can't kill Kristen. You can't. And even if Rob decided what he did, which is that he didn't tell Eric, oh, she told me to look at you, sort of thing. She told people to look at you. She gets killed. I think there's enough in there to move him away from Kristen. Like, Rob did a good job with that, with Eric, to
Mhm.
kind of like, listen, I think, if we keep her in together, we can smooth this all out tomorrow. So it'll be okay.
I just think moving forward, the rest of this season is just about watching Rob's strategy. I mean, a lot of the big
Yes.
personalities are gone. A lot of these faithfuls are just like wawing their way through the rest of the game. So
Yes.
we're just going to have to see if Rob can pull this off, smooth things over with Eric if Kristen goes, but we will turn it over to you guys. What did you think about the Traitors US Season 4, Episode 9? What do you think Johnny and Tara are doing? Can they just not contain themselves a little bit longer?
Yeah.
Let us know. Hit that subscribe button, and you can support us further by joining our memberships here on YouTube. That
Yeah.
does help us support us very, very much.
Mhm.
We will see you here next time.